There we go. We are back. We had some audio difficulties with our first guest, so we're just going to roll right in, cut our break short. We have Mr. Matt Scherer. Hopefully, I am pronouncing your name correctly, Matt. Thank you for joining us. He is I'm going to read his bio real quick, but he is with the Military Transition Roundtable. He's been helping military professionals in a transition deal with the stressors that occur during their passage from a uniform to a new type of life. As a co-founder of the Military Transition Roundtable, he helps some of them through a mastermind group that helps them address transition issues. He's the author for LinkedIn for Military. With his wife, Dr. Jacqueline Scherer, he wrote the LinkedIn for Learners book. So we have those as well. So take a look, check out his books. Again, LinkedIn for Military, your interactive transition networking guide, and also LinkedIn for Learners. So thank you, Matt, for joining us. Appreciate your time here. Love having you here, and can't wait to hear more of your story.
I don't know if you want to hear my story. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad to be here, guys. And it's good to see you, Sean. Sean, by the way, is one of our active members in the Military Transition Roundtable. So we speak from experience. I'm probably going to point back a couple times to Sean and some things that he's done as far as his transition. You know, it's a journey, and he's not over with his journey. One of the things you often hear about transition, it doesn't end when you retire. We have people that we're still working with 5, 10 years after their separation retirement date. They're still working on their transition.
Absolutely. Mark, Matt is one of the guys that as soon as I mentioned the idea of doing this podcast, he's like, hey, I'll come on in a heartbeat, and that's what's great about this community. Just everybody's supporting, and the mastermind classes that we do, and Dion here is in one of our classes as well. I mean, it's just the conversations and what we work through is absolutely amazing. It's a lot of fun and a lot of great information.
So is my friend Dion in the audience right now?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, Dion. How's it going, buddy?
He's there. Shout out to Dion. So yeah,
Yeah.
we've
Hey,
got
hey,
several
Dion.
guests. We've got several guests in. So yes, he is in the chat. Can you tell us why you're so passionate about helping active duty and prior service members? What got you started?
That's a good question. I think the thing that got me started was that I had a less than stellar time with transition. I was listening to your previous interview with Alfredo, and he was talking about, here's all this information, you got to deal with it. And so I really wanted to help people with their transition. Now, if you talk to my colleague, Don Gleason, he had a plan. He did everything in his power to optimize his transition, but he would be the first to tell you that he had a group of mentors and networks. So I'm very passionate about helping people find a network. And of course, I believe LinkedIn is one of those tools for helping people find mentors in that network. But it's great that Don and I are together because we bring a different perspective to the whole transition thing. And sometimes we disagree, but I think you would, if you were to talk to us, we're in agreement about 96% of what we want to accomplish, which is help the average military professional in transition make a smooth and easy transition.
So can you tell us a little bit more about Military Transition Roundtable? What's involved? Really, who you're helping?
Absolutely. So the Military Transition Roundtable is based on the Mastermind concept. The Mastermind concept is over 150 years old. It was popular at the turn of the 20th century when people like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford would get together with other people that they trust and they liked, and they would talk about common issues. And usually there was someone in that organization or that group that faced similar issues, and they say, well, Henry, you have this problem with this. This is what I would suggest. And so that's the power of the mastermind. And now what we're looking at with the power of our mastermind is what are the issues people are facing in transition. And one of the things I've heard just in the last couple of days is, well, I really don't understand the VA process. Well, there are people in our organization, in our groups, that have already faced similar issues with the VA. So it's like, well, this is what you ought to know. These are the things that I found. It's not to say that yours is going to be the same, but at least someone's already walked down that path, and you feel comfortable knowing that you're not the only guy with that issue.
Yeah. So what are some of the things I think if you could pinpoint maybe one or two things, what's the most impactful thing that you guys are teaching or sharing that has helped folks so far?
I think the biggest thing we have helped people with, and Don is probably the bigger expert on this, is how to negotiate the job, how to negotiate the salary. And we've had several times within our groups where someone said, well, I've been offered this job, but they factored in my military retirement, so they offered me 15,000 less than what I was worth. Uh-huh. People would say, no, you don't want that job. And so we give people the courage to look at the offer. We give courage to look at the environment. We help people factor in those intangibles that go with that new job. You know, in the military, they tell you, you're going here and you're going there, right? Sometimes you get a little choice. Sometimes you understand how to, you know,
How to work the system.
I know how to. Yeah, and sometimes the system recognizes your talents and says we need you here. But guess what? When you retire or separate or depart the military, that is no longer the case. You get to pick, and that's sometimes a very difficult choice for most military professionals, how to make that informed choice. So I think that's one of the things we do very well. Now, if I could, I'd like to talk about the second thing, and this is my strong point, and that's the LinkedIn profile. And it's one thing to get a great LinkedIn profile, but it's another to actually use it in a way that helps people or lets people know your story. And so I tell you, truthfully, even though he's interviewing, I still would say it. He's done a great job, Sean Welsh. Sean Welsh is one of those stars of the Military Transition Roundtable and the LinkedIn program. He is actually a star. Okay. And what Sean does very well is that when he connects with people, he helps others. Okay. It's not about getting information, it's how can I help people? That's one of the biggest things that I find is number one, fear of connecting with others. And number two, the skill set. Sean does a great job, when you say, John, of helping others or finding things that you can help them. For example, I know Sean is a Boy Scout leader, and maybe he's going to help another Boy Scout leader say, well, guess what? I find that this place, go camping is great. Or if you're down this way, here's some things. So it's always that looking for those opportunities to help others.
Yeah, most definitely. As a matter of fact, we've got a lot of community members at corporations in the civilian sector. Want to give a shout out, Suzanne Carter. Actually, she's on right now. She's a finance recruiter at Boeing, and they're hiring top talent. So they're seeking those with active secret clearances. So make sure if you are not connected with her, she's in the chat in LinkedIn, Suzanne Carter. She's hiring at Boeing. So great opportunity there. Thank you for sharing, Suzanne.
So there's an interesting concept that I think I would like to hear Matt talk a little bit more about, and that is, one, how many of these cohorts do you have in the Military Transition Roundtable? And I'd love for you to tell us more about the one you're now doing overseas, which I think is phenomenal for that population.
Well, thank you for asking that question, Sean. Currently, we have 6 groups. Okay, we have 3 on Thursday. We have 3 on Tuesday. Now, the way it works on Tuesday, we have 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Those are general groups like the one you're in, Sean. And then at 11:30, we have one for entrepreneurs. So that's an entrepreneur track. So we do things a little differently there. Right now, we're going over the E-Myth revisited as part of our discussions. So we're always looking at this different purpose a little bit. Same thing, still got the mastermind concept going, but it's more for the entrepreneurs, and that's a growing trend in the military. And then the groups on Thursday, we started the 4 o'clock group, right, with the hopes that it would reach the people in the Far East, but we have found that the time is not right. We do have 1 or 2 people that have joined us from the Far East. We've asked the people in the military transition program, the transition assistance program, to help us. And, I love them. They do good work, but they're over their focus is to make sure they clear everybody and they check those uh, boxes, and everybody dots their I's and cross their T's when they go through transition. And so we thought we'd have something, but it didn't work out. We've got another event we're going to do again, where we're going to invite people from the Far East. And if you know of people from the Far East, please let us know. We know that when there's a will, there's a way that you can work through your schedule. We are trying to find a time that accommodates them. And so that's that 4:00 group. I think we're probably going to move it to 5:30. We're going to discuss it some more in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll probably either add another group or we're going to switch the 4:00 to 5:30. But guess what? That 4:00 time zone works for a lot of people on the East Coast. And they said, yeah, we'd like to be part of it, because we'd hate to sit there with one person when we have a group of 6 to 8 people, which we now have in that group. And it's really worked. So it takes time to build a group, and it takes time to do that. Now, going back to the Tuesday group, we found that 10:00 time zone is perfect for people in Europe. So they can come at 5:00, 6:00, depending on which part of the time zone you're in. So that's kind of how that works. So we are now, I can truthfully say, we have people from Ramstein, Germany to Seoul, Korea.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
We'd like to add more, but it's just an ongoing word of mouth campaign. And for me to have the opportunity to talk to you today on this is very, very helpful, because we want to let more people know about this. So can I ask a quick question, technical question? I didn't get this. This is live, I recognize, but is it also going to be recorded for future dissemination?
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
Perfect,
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
and as a matter of fact, for you and for the viewer audience, we are actually going to clean this up, polish each episode up.
Right.
So
Okay.
you're going to have your own episode
Okay.
for this that will be re-released in the subsequent weeks, and you'll be able to market that and share it, and it'll be in perpetuity. So
Well, I appreciate that, and you know that I will mention and use my growing number of connections. I have 11,000 of them right now. I will definitely, but I've worked at it, and I know I've worked with you, Sean, on what's a quality connection over a quantity connection. So many people want to get quantity. So no, slow down. Quality connections are the way to go.
Absolutely.
Yep. How instrumental has LinkedIn been for maybe some of your success stories?
You got to look at a couple people. Let me start with Jeff Carter, who's one of our original students. Jeff was the mission support commander, or I would say base commander. He says he's the executive agent at Randolph Air Force Base. He was also the commander of 3 security police squadrons. Well, how successful was? Number one, he found a job, but he found the right job. If you were to talk to Jeff, he would tell you, no, I do not want to be another security commander. I do not want to get that 2:00 phone call in the morning from someone saying, hey, you got a problem here. And so we helped him define it. He has a job. He's now with Amazon Web Services. Another guy, also a Air Force senior officer, security type, he did the resume. It's okay, look, stop that. Let us build your profile. Now, build that profile. Now start reaching out to people, interacting with others. He had 3 offers within a week. So those are the typical success stories we get. I could probably look back at some others, but those are the 2 that really stand out. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial side, right? You had mentioned that's one of the group's main or primary focuses.
Yes.
Do you see a lot of members more receptive? And we've seen this actually in the civilian sector with the Great Resignation, right? But there seems to be a lot more opportunity for business ownership, franchising. Do you see a lot of military members going that direction?
I do, and I think the thing that we do in our mastermind group is help them make an informed choice about what's right for them, because one franchise does not fit all, and we help them look at what are the resources out there, who should you talk to, who is in our network that can help you as well. So yes, the resources are there, and some people want to be their own boss, but you got to look at it also and be honest. Well, if I'm my own boss, that means I'm paying everybody's salary, and when things aren't going well financially, guess what? I own that process, so that's something to think about.
Yeah, most definitely.
Hey,
Most definitely.
Matt, you brought up something interesting, and Mark, I think this is something that we could probably examine with just about every guest. But you said you weren't really getting the help that you were hoping to get over in like Korea or whatever when you're trying to expand overseas.
Right.
The government, from my understanding so far in talking with people who run organizations like MTR, is that the government's really set to their government programs. And I've had several people ask me, how come more veterans don't know about all these organizations that are out there? Is there a way, or are we making progress in the government supporting the nonprofits that are out there trying to help veterans as well?
So that's a question that I would say is a mixed bag. So let me tell you a true story. There is a wonderful organization here called the JBSA Transition Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
They get together once a week and they share information. They also share a calendar. Now, the thought of the executive leadership is that everybody's going to share that calendar and all those events with everybody that's in transition. Not a bad idea, but not an effective one. So I went to this lady 2 years ago. There's a gentleman named Mike Espinoza. Mike and I are now partners with the San Antonio Transition Calendar. Let's build you a calendar. Now, we're going to follow the same rules and guidelines that a commercial newspaper contract would have with a base. Okay, same rules, same guidelines, nothing different. Oh no, we can't do that. It's the legal. We get into the legal thing, but okay. Common sense would tell you that a commander's going to say, "Wait a minute. He gets what we're trying to do. He understands our limitations, but why is he getting blocked by one of the people on that executive committee?" So when I talk to the TAP people, yeah, we love it. We want to do that, and I want to do that. But I think it's just a culture. We got to follow. We got to fit into this box. The Department of Labor has a contract, and they have slides, and you got to stay on script with the slides. And it's like one size fits all, and it doesn't really work. So that's we have to change the way we think. Okay, and Sean, I'm going to compliment you. And I don't know you, Mark, very well, but let me say this: Sean's a go-getter, right? Sean's gone out and gotten information. Sean has built a network. Most military guys do not know how to build a network until it's too late.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the things, and that's a common theme, right? We see that everywhere. One of the things that we're teaching in our some of the career transition work that we do is to always be networking, right? Because what happens is we get a lot of people that come into the career transition space and in our network, and we're helping them. Maybe they're prior service, maybe they're just in the civilian sector, and they're all about getting and building their network, getting into and building their network, and then they get landed. And what happens?
Stop.
They ghost, right? They are gone from LinkedIn, right? They're not. They won't even reply to a message, right? A DM, and that's one of the big issues. And we've seen. Think about today's career, right? The average career in the civilian sector. How long are people at a company right now?
If they're
3
lucky.
years or less?
That sounds right. And that's one of the key components that I teach in LinkedIn classes and LinkedIn consultation. Okay, you got the job. Congratulations. Now's the time to become that guy, that expert on LinkedIn for whatever facet that you're working in. If you're an accountant, financial accountant, you want to be that person. If you are logistics, you want to reach out to other logistics people. You want to be known as a thought leader. So when the day comes, and there's a couple of reasons why people leave jobs. One, the environment changed and the new boss is not what you hoped, and you're like, this is not working for me. And so it's like having the wherewithal and the network to help you with that. So a network should not be, I've lost my job, I need your help. Okay. I believe that if you use LinkedIn as I'm always looking for ways to help people, and when I do need some help, then people that have been helped are probably going to come forth and say, "Hey, Mark, how can I help you?"
Absolutely.
Right. And you have to have an answer, right? You have to be able to have an answer too. And that's one of the things I think that in the networking space, the social space, in those aspects of a search, people aren't prepared, right? They're not prepared to help. It's like the old Jerry Maguire, right? Help me, help you, um, right?
Show me the
So
money.
that's right. Show me the money. They don't have a clear, concise answer on how somebody can help them. How
Yeah.
important is that, right? It's paramount.
Well, and the thing of it is, a lot of corporations don't want people to be active on LinkedIn, and this is what I tell them: that person, hey, look, you're not looking for a job. You're looking for answers. The thing about LinkedIn, it's not just to be as a job search tool, but it's a resource tool, a research tool. In today's world, where we're now doing more and more conferences virtually, it's a networking event. The beautiful thing is, well, I went out to an event today for an organization that I'm doing some business with. I'll get a lot more done from the comfort of this computer and this setting to do a workshop. So yes, it's how are you going to be a thought leader? I mean, I would hope you'll have me come back sometime. I could talk just on how to become a thought leader after you get that first job.
That's
It is really, really a tool. And if you use it properly, it's going to help you become that person.
Mm-hmm.
That gal, that person, that's the person I want to talk to because she's the expert in this space, or she knows someone who knows someone. It's like your last guest, Alfredo, said, I'm from New York and I know a lot of people. Well, guess what? I know a few people too. And it's like, how do you capitalize on my network?
Yeah. Well, that brings up a great point as well, which is what you know, right? What you know is important.
Mm-hmm.
And also who you know, right?
Right.
So how are you helping people understand that gap, right, between what I know and who you know and how to leverage both in tandem?
Okay. So let me talk about one of the hidden elements of LinkedIn. For example, LinkedIn does a great job of helping you with the who, right? Who you are, what your skills are. If you say LinkedIn, okay, I'm going to let you create my profile. It's going to create something that tells you who you are, because LinkedIn makes thousands, if not millions of dollars having the capability to help people find talent. That's what they do, and that's how they help it. And they will create something which what I call a resume speak kind of profile. What we do and what I do is help people determine the what and the why. Why do I want to do this when I leave the military? What is it about me that would make me compelling to you, the influencer? So if Dion's still out there, what would Dion Hicks say if I reached out and wrote him a connection note? What would he think if I saw my profile?
Yeah, Deanna, I hope you're out there. I know that he has the answer. Definitely, Sean, for your experience, right? Since you're really kind of in the thick of it, if you will, how instrumental has it been, right? Leveraging both in tandem, both what your skill set is, what you know, and who you know.
Well, it's been phenomenal, and to Matt's kind words, a lot of what I've been doing on LinkedIn actually started with Mark and Trevor in the Who You Know Network. That was the first thing I did out of transition. So you guys gave me the motivation, and then getting linked in with MTR, and Matt and I have done a couple one-on-ones. We've talked about my profile. He's helped me flush out a few things there to make it look better, especially the about system. I don't know. I think a lot of military people struggle with writing about themselves. It's the times you get stuck with having to write your own award or your own eval. for me, that's always been the hardest thing. I can write evals and awards all day long for other people, but talking about yourself just for some reason, gets a little harder. So Matt helped me work through that and get that piece ready. And that really helps round out a lot of the profile. So using, what I know, who I know, all within LinkedIn has definitely been beneficial and a lot of fun. I've met some great people, especially in the veteran community, that you immediately have some sort of connection because of what you've done, and then you start to learn what they can actually help you with, or how willing they are to help you. Which most of the people I connect with, they immediately say, "Hey, what can I do for you?" Like, I don't need anything. I just I'd love to learn. I'm following what you're doing. And maybe someday there is something I could use. So just that whole networking piece and really honing in on the LinkedIn and using it the right way, and the searches and things like that, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. So Matt, apply now, right? Your LinkedIn profile as a resume.
No.
Effective or not effective?
No. Okay. Here's the difference between the two, okay? The LinkedIn profile is like an online beacon, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's there to build influencers, is there to build a network. A resume is a legal document. When you talk to people that are resume experts, and I have, that's a document that says you went to St. Leo's University, you went to this school, or you went to that. And guess what? If the recruiter's serious about you, they're going to pick up the phone and call St. Leo's and say, did Sean Welsh go to school there, and does he have a BBA or whatever? Okay. They're allowed to do that once they give you a resume. The problem with the resume is, again, it goes back to our friends in the transition assistance program. What do they teach? You all have to have a resume before you can graduate from this class. And guess what? You better use it all the time. And then you've got, as Alfredo was talking about before, you've got that barracks lawyer mafia, the transition. Well, you've got to have that resume to find a job. Well, let's go back to something I said about 15 minutes ago about the one colonel who had 100 resumes and didn't get anywhere. But once he got the LinkedIn profile in place, he had job offers. He had people call him and say, hey, I see you're looking for a job, because he used LinkedIn the way it was supposed to be used and not as a resume.
Yeah.
Can I add?
There's a lot of opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to add one more thing. I absolutely hate my friends, and there's some well-meaning friends in this MTR community that are like, hey, I want to share John's resume or Susie's resume. No. Let's teach John and Susie how to be like Sean and build the network. So, yeah, it is really one of my it's one of my pet peeves. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, yeah, valuable to hear as well. So MTR, the program, just wanted to get a little bit more insight on that, on how to plug in there. Is there a cost? Is it free? How do I get into that program?
Okay. Hey, Sean, can I ask a question? Is Don joining us in a second?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah, he has popped in.
Okay.
He's ready to go, but he's got the next segment. I can bring him in because I know you guys work together. So
why don't we do that? And I'm going to let him. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring us in here, and let's see if we can 4-box it. There we go.
4-box it. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Don, thanks for joining us. We're bringing you in. Matt had requested you in here because he wanted to hear and talk with you a little bit more about. We're talking about plugging into MTR.
So here's what I will say. Okay, MTR. There's no cost for people to join MTR, and there's no cost for them to participate in MTR. We get funded by grants and other resources. For example, on Monday, our friends at Neaters, the little restaurant down the street, is going to do a fundraiser for us. So that money will pay for our administrative and operational costs to keep that program running. Okay, that's how it works. If you're in the audience. I'm not sure if the Boeing lady's still here. If you'd like to write us, a check or work with us to, contribute towards the continued operations of our program, please let us know. We are now in the process of working on several grants with the VA and some other nonprofits, particularly in the area of suicide prevention. And so that's that's our funding mechanism. But we're after the grants and the other programs that would pay for our costs. And we've had some good advisors, and they all said it's going to take you a couple years before they even talk to you. And I talked to one organization, which shall remain nameless, and they said, if you want a real foundation support from us, it's going to take 5 years of audited books. I said, oh, really? Okay, I get that, and I understand that. But that's how we fund things, and I think we've proven our acumen in helping people. I'm going to point this over to Don because Don's got the results, of the original group. Our retention rate for job retention rate is very significant. Wouldn't you say, Don?
Copy that.
Explain to them what I meant by job retention and what are the actual facts and numbers, sir.
Yeah, the hard part is jumping right into the middle here.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the opportunity. We do work together quite a bit. Yeah, so I was going through the numbers again this week. So we are now at 66 graduates. Matt, I don't think I've even updated you yet. 66 graduates in just over, about 27 months.
Right.
And graduates, not just walking through the program, but getting the job you're looking for, right? And here's the key factor we focus in on. Syracuse University Veteran Center did a study that said 45% of veterans leave their first post-military job within 12 months. That means half are going to be looking for a new job. And now there's other studies that say it's really like 65%. So that means 2 out of every 3. And so far as we've been tracking our folks are leaving that job at about a rate of 15%, almost 4 times less. So we're trying to really focus in as we talk one-on-one, Matt and I, with the individuals is what do you really want? What's the job you're looking for, right? What is it that drives you? What are the values you're looking for? So, it's not only the role, but even the leadership. What kind of leadership do you reply best to? We do the DISC assessment. I don't know if Matt talked this. We do the DISC assessment.
No, we did not.
And you learn about your personality. And the key thing is you learn about your personality is you learn who you are, right? Self-awareness. You have to know yourself to grow yourself. Who says that there, Sean?
John Maxwell.
John Maxwell. Probably a bunch of others, right?
Yep.
But John Maxwell for sure. Sean and I are both John Maxwell team members. And so you got to know yourself to grow yourself, but then you can know others. Matt and I are different personalities, but we know now how to work with each other. Not saying it's always easy, but we get it done. So it works really well. And I think that's the same thing. If as you're interviewing folks, what you're looking for in a personality, you can say, is that going to be right or wrong? I interviewed with one company and I got out in 2009. I interviewed with a company in late 2008. Everything was wrong. The setup of the office, the cleanliness, the way the interviewing authority, he talked 99% of the time. I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. I'm an SC, but I have an I personality that's fairly high, just below the midline, and I need to be heard, right? I need to be able to voice certain opinions, and if I can ever say anything, that's not going to work. So so I think there's a lot of things that go into that, 50 to 75, 65% leaving, but that's the things we're focusing in on is how do we change those?
Yeah.
Hey, Mark and Sean, at this point, I'm going to say goodbye. And the reason I'm saying goodbye is, and I would love to do this again with my colleague, Don Gleason. I have a granddaughter that's visiting me from Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm in the grandpa zone and we're heading off to see her in a few minutes. My wife said, yes, I know this is important to you, and I know you want to do this. And I said, well, I would. If I had to take a remote thing and do it from the pool where she's swimming or something, I would do that because I believe that much in our mission. And so I'm going to say goodbye at this point and say thank you so much. I know if you can find me on LinkedIn. Now, let me just say this real quick. My given name is D, as in David, My middle name is Matt, M-A-T-T, and my last name is Scherer, S-C-H-E-R-E-R. That's how you find me on LinkedIn. I hope if you've heard this if you're listening to this a couple months from now and say, hey, I really want to reach out to you, Matt, please do so. There's lots of other ways we can work together, and to see Sean is the proof of what we're doing that motivates me to work through all these things to help people succeed.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Just a pleasure to have you on here. Your testimony, your insights, your resources. Viewer audience, what I would like you to do is, if you can, give us a big smile, Matt, and take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of Matt. Connect with him on LinkedIn. Again, Matt Scherer. I was mispronouncing it earlier, so thank you for that insight as well. Tag him, give him some love, post it up on your social media. Let's spread the word about Military Transition Roundtable and the work that Matt's doing there, as well as Don. We are going to go to another quick break, and we will be back with Don Gleason to hear his thoughts on Military Transition Roundtable and otherwise. Stay with us.